centralized, where we see a lot more buy online and pick up in store. We're seeing in many regions, specifically North America, Europe, I'm not sure about Australia, New Zealand, or APAC, but we're seeing a lot more of lockers or pickup locations so that it's much more convenient for the shopper or the customer to get their goods. So that's changing the way that distribution centers handle that portion of the logistic journey. Once the item's been picked, packed, and ready to be shipped, now they're shipping or fulfilling the order to a locker in some cases. The other one that is relatively new is there's a major focus on employee well-being, satisfaction, and a lot of this is centered around retaining the talent that you have in your distribution centers and making it an attractive place to work so that you don't have to continually reinvest in labor, training labor, or recruiting talent, as there is in some regions a shortage for this type of labor. So we see a lot of companies being very creative with how they attract and retain the talent. One of those ways is deploying solutions that are easy to use and work seamlessly and integrate with the other solutions so that it's not a burden on the employee to use those types of solutions. And then one of the last trends that we're seeing is just and Brian touched on this briefly, is the advancement in technology. It's rapidly changing how we think about deploying solutions, the solutions that we work with our partners and our customers on, and how quickly we bring those to market and make them and deploy them to the customer environment so they can start getting that immediate business value that they're expecting based on their investment. The last trend that we're seeing is really a migration to Android. This particular slide is specific to the vehicle mounts located on the fork trucks or the high lifts, but we're also seeing similar activity related to the mobile computing devices with people, operations, IT shops, distribution centers moving away from Windows CE or those types of mobile devices because of the announcements that Windows has made in the previous years. So we see this migration, if you will, to the Android ecosystem. So how does this align with some of the challenges that the DCs are facing? DCs are being more demands are being put on the DC related to how much throughput they can handle. So some folks are constrained by space, so they need to figure out a way to, reformat their distribution center if they can, or some way to add a solution in that is flexible and allows them to utilize the space or constraints that they have. Some of it's seasonal based as well. We're in the holiday season, so there's a lot of throughput demand placed on retailers at the moment. We see this challenge of recruiting and turnover and retraining employees with good morale, happy to do their job on a daily basis. And in some regions, we see language barriers where everything might be in English on a screen, or the way the solution's been developed or deployed. So in some cases, there could be language barriers that some of the DCs need to overcome. The bottom two really relate to the last mile and that customer experience are things that are more prevalent in the retail space, with that last mile of delivery to the customer's porch, or reverse logistics and having a customer-friendly experience, being able to return those goods, or just an overall good experience when you're in the store picking up your items. But that return of the good or the reverse logistics is something new that DCs are facing on an increasing basis, especially with the online channel that more and more consumers are shopping with. And that's because consumers are using it as a showroom. So they order the goods that they like in every size or color that they want, and then they keep the one or two that they want and they return everything else. So this puts an additional burden either on the store for returns or on ultimately the distribution center on how to disposition and handle that return, whether they put it back in stock, they have a liquidation area, or whatever it might be, destruction. So new challenges that the DCs are facing. So how does Honeywell handle this? So what we do and what we do with our partners like Dematic is we have a process where we evaluate to understand how your distribution center operates. And part of that's understanding how you've standardized, what standard processes or operating procedures you might have in place, and how they compare to best practices that we see all around the world. And then what we do is we understand and help you execute to those. In some cases, a lot of the best practices or things that we see aren't even a technology solution, it's just a process solution. And then we understand where it makes sense to layer in a solution like the VocalX solution or our Android solution to give you that next level of execution. And that's where we get into optimize. We layer in those solutions, we start optimizing your processes, and then we take another look and understand, is there anything else we can do to even optimize further? So it becomes a virtuous circle where you're constantly taking a look at the optimization and the execution process to understand what are the other pieces of your operation that you can optimize. In many cases, we start in the picking operation. That's where the most labor is consumed. But with Android, what we're finding is there's a lot of other operations that we can very easily put voice into, because the Android devices are already deployed into those other areas like cycle counting, replenishment, receiving, whatever it might be. So we can instantly get additional benefits for our customers based on them already investing in some of the Android technology. So what I'm going to do next is we're going to pop over to a quick video. I think it's 2 or 3 minutes long, so you can kind of see some of the Android solution in process. This is actually was filmed at a distribution center right outside of Washington, D.C. And when we come out of that video, we'll talk about some of the benefits and some of how we deploy our solution so you can get a high-level 30,000-foot view of what that's like. Brian?
In today's marketplace, new forces such as direct-to-consumer, same-day delivery, and online access are increasing pressure on distribution centers to drive productivity to new standards of excellence. Competition for skilled labor, work-life balance, and labor demographics make warehouse operations even more challenging, while still delivering the financial performance that organizations are demanding. Honeywell is a solutions company that is the leader in design, implementation, and optimization of distribution center and retail environments. Our industry-leading voice system set.
Hey, John, it appears that we've got a problem. The video is showing an RN, but I don't believe it's playing on the webcast. So maybe I can get you to just talk through it, and we can move to the next
Yeah,
slide.
sure. No, absolutely. So
you got some technical challenge.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, but I understand it happens. So the video. So we have a produce warehouse that's like I mentioned outside of Washington D.C. here in the U.S. That has deployed the Android solution. And they're actually in a mixed environment with some Talkman as well. And they have plans to deploy to their other buildings. And the Talkman is the VocalX solution for those that might not be aware of that. So they're running in a mixed environment, and that's because they invested in some Android devices to replace their Windows CE devices. But what you would have seen is you would have seen a traditional pallet-based picking operation at a supermarket or a produce type facility. I think they were using double pallet jacks in that particular one. So the solution would direct them. They log on, they download their current work for the day, and it directs them to the particular location in the distribution center. The worker via voice command would confirm that they are at that particular location by confirming with what we refer to as a check digit. It's unique to that location. And then the solution will speak to them, requesting the current quantity of whatever the particular item is, and will direct them to put it on either pallet position 1 or 2, or A or B. You can configure or set it up however you like. And then it directs them to the next location. So you would have seen a little bit of that. And you can go out on YouTube, there's all sorts of videos around Vocollect voice picking. You'll essentially get the concept of it. And from our perspective, the difference between our Vocollect solution that's been around for nearly 30 years and the Android solution is really the device that it's running on. Most everything else under the covers, the technology that's involved is the same technology that we've been deploying for close to 30 years, the speech recognition, the underlying business logic and workflows that we deploy. And we've created some new tools for our partners to be able to develop custom solutions if they need to for some of their larger enterprise customers. And then I'll touch on, we have some out-of-the-box, very quick to deploy solutions for customers that happen to run either Microsoft Dynamics 365 or SAP Business One. The typical results that our customers see when they deploy these types of solutions, these voice solutions, whether it be a large enterprise customer that has hundreds of thousands of square feet of distribution center space, or smaller customers that only have a handful of pickers picking goods, we see these types of results. And the primary thing that everybody is trying to achieve is higher productivity. So how can I have more throughput with either the same amount of people, or take some of those people and redeploy them into other areas of the warehouse for value-added services, whether it be kitting or audit or whatever it might be. So the increase in productivity, depending on your workflow, we see anywhere from 10 to 35%. We've even seen higher than 35% in some cases. And in many cases, it depends on what you're replacing. So if you're replacing good old-fashioned pen and paper, obviously you're going to see much more productivity benefit than you would if you were, say, replacing an RF scanner. We see benefits by replacing RF. Some of those benefits might just not be as high as if you were replacing paper and pen. We also see a reduction in errors from customers that are either using the paper or pen or even scanning. There are issues when you're scanning goods, and we've been able to catch and increase the accuracy that our customers get. In this day and age with the online customer, that accuracy is even more critical than it was when your end customer was more of a business-to-business relationship. Now we're in more of a business-to-consumer relationship in many cases, and that end customer isn't as loyal. And if you have an error, it could cost you that customer. And then we have some, obviously with the concept of your hands are free now that you're in a voice-enabled work environment. That means your eyes can be focused on the task at hand, so you're inherently much more safe. And then with I was talking a little bit around employee retention, investment in training, and that's what these last two are really talking about. We see that we have helped our customers reduce the amount of attrition. The workers enjoy using the voice solution. It's very easy for them to use. It doesn't get in the way, it just works. And we've had many cases where the employee said, if you ever went back to the other way, I would go find wherever they have voice deployed in another warehouse around me so I could continue to use it. So we have lots of great customer feedback around how happy the employees are using these types of solutions. And then the reduction in training time can be depending on the operation or the processes that you currently have. We can very quickly bring team members up to a very productive rate very quickly. And this is especially important when you have a lot of seasonal or temporary help. We can help onboard and train those. And in some cases I've seen where there's staffing agencies that only deal with voice type workers, and they understand this aspect of the business and have a pool of trained voice workers for the distribution centers in their region. So if we talk about how our solutions deployed, in our existing Vocalex solution, we have similar deployment, so we have options. The Android solution is the same way. As I mentioned, we have a direct connection to SAP Business One and Microsoft Dynamics 365. These are ERP solutions that are really targeted at the small to medium business, but I've seen these solutions deployed at very large enterprises as well. So you may fall into either of those categories. We have a direct integration to both of these ERP solutions for our picking workflows, and we are adding additional workflows over the course of the next year. And these are all configuration based, and it's based on the configuration that SAP or Microsoft provides and how you configure that particular picking transaction in your distribution center. And we can support either the on-premise or in the cloud Microsoft or SAP environment. That doesn't really matter to us. And in some cases, if you have a legacy or some other third-party warehouse management solution, we have options, whether it be through using our VoiceLink solution, which acts as a type of middleware, or we have tools that we provide to our partners like Dematic, and they can build custom picking workflows or whatever workflow that you might require to your WMS or to some of Dematic's solutions as well that I know they have deployed all around the globe. So bottom line, it's a very flexible solution that has options for both the small to medium as well as the enterprise customer, supporting a whole range of Honeywell Android devices, as well as our headsets that we use also for our Vocalex solution. And one of the biggest questions we get is, well, why would I work with Honeywell? Why should we even look at your voice solution? Can't I just kind of go do whatever Alexa does? And we actually tell people, go ahead, go try. Everybody thinks it's very simple, very easy to build a voice solution, and inevitably those customers come back to us and says, oh yeah, we spent 3 months trying and we didn't get anywhere. It's something that's very difficult. Honeywell has, I think we're on our 7th generation of speech recognition engine. It's a Honeywell proprietary speech recognition engine. The speech recognition is performed on the device, so it doesn't have to go out to a cloud or some other server located off-site to do the speech recognition, which means it performs very well. So when speed is critical and you have business critical operations, performance of the speech recognition is key. And our now 7th generation speech recognition engine is best in class. It's also the solution of choice of pretty much most enterprises around the world. we have, I think it's just over 1 million users actively using our voice solutions globally, and we are now starting to ramp up and bring some of those existing customers as well as new customers into our Android solution as well. So we have options for our customers. Our craftsmanship with our hardware and our software is first class. It's easy to support and it lasts forever. And we have, not only with our internal teams, but also with our partners like Dematic, we have a wealth of industry expertise. We are the experts in the distribution and supply chain business. And we have best-in-class customer experience and customer service to help either provide guidance, bring you holistic solutions related to our solutions as well as our partner solutions, as well as support you after a deployment has taken place. And then lastly, really the most important voice in this whole conversation is yours. We want to hear from you. We want to understand what your challenges are, what you're seeing and how it's impacting your business, understand your processes and how we can bring a holistic supply chain solution with Honeywell and Dematic together to help provide the value or the business outcome that you're looking for. And then Brian, I think I'm going to hand it over to you for, hopefully you've been collecting some questions and we can spend 5-10 minutes or however much time. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, thanks, John. That was really good. We will send a link for the video out. I apologize, it didn't play. I believe it showed for some people, but it didn't. Some people could hear video and some people couldn't see anything. So we'll send that link out. It's worth having a view of that. It's about 2 or 3 minutes long, and the reason we wanted to show it is actually shows the technology being used in a distribution center, which I think is pretty important. So if we look back at why the environment we're in and why we're trying to do these, and really if you think about it from two sides on the bullet points, one side on the left side is the technology piece, and then on the right side it's really about the business. And I think with the solutions like the Vocalink voice solution moving on to Android, it really allows you to take more of a look at your business and figure what you're trying to do with your business, what you're trying to achieve, and then applying the right technology to deliver those outcomes. And like John said, this is a next revolution for Honeywell and their voice solution, and definitely there's more to come in regards to advances with the technology. Questions. We did get a couple of questions. So, John, if maybe you can help me with the answer to these. So the one is obviously, with the, taking an Android or an iOS device and applying voice to it, am I able to just use that device for voice, or am I able to still do other things with it in my distribution center operation?
Yeah, you can do all sorts of things with it in your distribution center operation. That's one of the main benefits of deploying Android devices into an operation is you can, in some cases, treat it like your smartphone and deploy all sorts of apps, whether it be an app from your WMS provider, maybe it's an app from Dematic that you can understand what's going on with your conveyors in some cases, but also voice-enabled or other apps that would help your warehouse function or perform more efficiently. And I didn't touch on it, but even our application from a voice standpoint doesn't require voice. In some cases, a workflow may be, maybe it's more beneficial from a scanning standpoint. So you can have one application that performs several different workflows. Sometimes it uses voice guided workflow, and other times it uses a scanning-based workflow. So the app, even our voice application, has flexibility depending on the workflow you deploy. Yeah,
and I think that's one of the things that we're seeing with our customers is a requirement on how do I get the most out of my asset? So, if I buy a solution for, picking, am I able to use it for other operations in the warehouse, which this definitely can do. Just another question is, if you look at the legacy Vocalec product, there's no screen and no keyboard. With the Android solution, there is a screen. So when you're running voice, do you still need the screen, or are you able to turn the screen off and make it a true hands-free, eyes-free solution?
Yes, I guess it's optional. The screen's not required. In some workflows, it makes sense to have a screen. In most picking workflows, it doesn't make any sense. And what we've seen so far in some of the deployments we've done is they've actually, once they log in and get their assignments, they set the screen like you do on your smartphone, where you can kind of kill the screen, and they put it in their pouch or on their cart, and then they go about their business, and the application is running in the background.
Okay. Yep. Good. Okay. And just one more, and I guess it's I think you touched on it a little bit, but when you look at the legacy product, the voice recognition is very, very good, and and maximized or optimized for a distribution center. If I'm using an Android device, is it like Siri, or is my expectation is that the voice recognition will be as good as the traditional Honeywell voice product?
Yeah, your expectation as well as my expectation is it's going to be as good as a traditional Honeywell voice product. We use the same speech recognition engine. We refer to it as Bluestreak, and it would be the same whether it be on our enterprise or Vocalec product that's been out there for quite some time, or whether it be on the Android side. The one thing that's slightly different, if you want to call out a difference, is really around the dialogue that's spoken back. Because it's Android, we have access to Google's text-to-speech engine. So we have some additional options, but from a speech recognition, it performs as good as the Vocalec solution.
Okay, great. Okay, so just I guess a takeaway and what should I do next? When we look at I guess the premise of all this is that there's a huge shift in technology moving away from CE to really driven by the move from CE to Android. We think it's a real opportunity for businesses to stop and evaluate what the next solution should be, i.e., don't just buy the same technology. So I guess the takeaway is one is how do you going through and evaluating Android voice, and really can it add value to your business through those points that John touched on, increased productivity, improved accuracy, and better use of your assets overall. So that's the takeaway, is that please just don't go out and buy the next best thing. Is reevaluate what you're trying to do and see if there's a better mousetrap. What should you do next? Obviously both Honeywell and us at Dematic are interested in talking about this. So you can call us and discuss how we can help you on that journey. We're happy to sit down and talk to you and determine if this solution would add value to your business or it wouldn't, and if it won't, we'll be upfront and tell you it won't, but we think in most cases it does. So please reach out to either John or I and let us know if you have any questions, or we can help in any way. Great. And with that, we'll end. Like I said, apologies about the technical challenges with the webinar, but we'll post it and send everybody a link to where it is. It's worth having a view of the webinar. I think it gives you a real insight on how the technology can be used. And thanks everybody for your time. I hope you found value in the session.